Hey friends, I'm going to try something a little different today. So usually when I put together one of these videos, I sweat over it and I plot what I'm going to say ahead of time, and I try to put together a coherent argument. This time I'm doing it a little differently. I decided, no, I'm not going to prepare for this. I've got something I want to talk about and I'm peeved about it. And it's really not worth putting a heck of a lot of effort into writing a carefully scripted argument or anything, because it's so stupid. But yeah, I'm going to talk about it anyway. So, what do I want to talk about? Well, unfortunately, I ran across yet another video by Kent Hovind, and it was appalling. Basically, Kent Hovind and creationists in general have only one argument, and that's the argument from incredulity. And this is just such a sterling example of outright nonsense and disbelief. So, let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is one of his whack and atheist things where he's going to rant and rave about some atheist he doesn't like. In this case, his victim is Pelagia, who does good stuff. Not a scientist, but he's competent in what he's doing, and he talks about things appropriately. Anyway, so Pelagia happened to mention Ray Comfort's infamous Banana Man video, which got Kent a little bit peeved. So he's going to go on a little rant about bananas. Only here's the thing, it's not going to be about bananas. It's going to be about everything else. And it's just Kent Hovind ranting about his disbelief in something. So he's kind of like an atheist that way. Anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's where Kent Hovind complains about using the banana argument against Ray Comfort.
Pelagia, listen. Pay attention, boy. You make fun of Ray Comfort for believing the banana was designed. There are 80 million tons of bananas produced every year. You believe all 80 million tons of those bananas fit in a dot smaller than a period on a page. Don't you, Pelagia? 80 million tons of bananas. That's not counting the apples and the peaches and the mountains and the oceans and the planets and the stars. All of it. This is what they teach. 18 to 20 billion years ago, all the matter in the universe was concentrated into one very dense, very hot region that may have been much smaller than a period on this page. You would make fun of Ray Comfort for believing a banana was designed, and you believe all 80 million tons of the bananas fit in a dot smaller than a period on a page.
Okay, you see what he's doing here? He starts off talking about Ray Comfort's banana argument, and then somehow this gets him raving away about the Big Bang Theory. Yeah, somehow the existence of bananas means he cannot believe the Big Bang Theory. And it's not just this little clip I just showed you. Seriously, he babbles about this for a whole half hour where everything is about the Big Bang Theory, and somehow he's got to tie in a banana mention into it. Somehow. Here's another example.
You could not fit one banana into a dot the size of an atom, let alone 80 million of them. Pay attention. Would you look at what you believe? What a dumb, dumb theory.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, his only argument is that the Big Bang Theory is a dumb, dumb theory. He doesn't say why. He just seems to think it's intuitively obvious that it's wrong, but he doesn't really have an argument that he's making here. He's not done yet. He just keeps blithering away. Okay, so here's another short clip of good old Kent Hovind talking about the religion of evolutionism.
Do you ever stop and analyze how stupid your religion is? You make fun of Ray Comfort for thinking a banana was designed. And yet you turn around and believe all the bananas were in a dot smaller than a subatomic particle.
Okay, did you get that? Somehow science is now a stupid religion because it argues that bananas were once upon a time crunched into a point the size of a dot. That isn't what this is about at all. Okay, so let's take one more look at another argument. Okay, maybe a couple more looks, but it's just hilarious to me. So this next one, he's going to complain now about the age of the Earth.
Earth formed 4.6 billion years ago. Okay. And 3.9, it was a hot ball of rock. So all the bananas came from this hot ball of rock. That's what they believe. Millions of years of rains created the oceans. Earth started out as a ball of very, very hot liquid, mostly made of two elements, oxygen and silica. So all the bananas came from oxygen and silica. Okay. After a few hundred million years, the temperature reached 2,000 degrees, the melting point of iron, and Earth's core was formed. Wow, those bananas are going to be cooked.
Yeah, so what he's done is he's kind of summarized in a sneering tone the general history of the universe. Okay, yeah, the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. It cooled from a molten liquid state and allowed life to thrive on this planet. This is all established stuff. This is not controversial, yet he thinks this is just the height of stupidity to believe this. He's also got this crowd of sycophants. He does these in front of people who come to his dinosaur adventureland, and they're just tittering away in the background. It's like a congregation of idiots coming together and reinforcing their own bogus ideas. Okay, so what's the problem here? The problem is that his only argument is incredulity. He does not have any argument marshaled against the idea of the Big Bang Theory. And here's the thing. Disbelief is a good thing. I'm going to say, yeah, he's starting down the right path. Incredulity, sure, don't believe that. This sounds ridiculous that everything in the universe was crunched down to one teeny tiny little point billions of years ago. So that's fair game to argue against. And way back when the Big Bang Theory was proposed, you know, in contradiction to steady state theories or uniformitarianism or anything like that, people, real scientists, weren't quick to accept it either. So the whole idea of the name Big Bang Theory was coined as a pejorative by Fred Hoyle to mock this idea. So yeah, it all started with disbelief. People didn't believe this stuff. But what happened? Well, the thing is, there was some preliminary evidence that suggested maybe this was the case. And then what they did is they started studying the history of the universe, trying to fit it into models that explained how this was working. They made observations like the Hubble movement of all the stars away from us, which would only happen if there was this constant expansion. They talked about the cosmic microwave background, the distribution of elements, the structure of the universe. It all implied that there was some universal expansion away from a central point. So that's what they're doing, is they're actually doing science to analyze this stuff. And then as they made all these observations, they found that the best explanation that encompassed them all was the Big Bang Theory. So it's not as if they just said, oh, this is the way it was. It was a theory, in the best sense of the word of the theory, that uniformly well explains a multitude of observations, brings them together into a common understanding. That's why we believe in the Big Bang Theory. It's because it's a good model. And I can understand this even though I'm not a physicist. I have relied on physicists to explain this to me. And as a non-physicist, it makes sense to me because there is so much evidence for it. Kent Hovind is not a physicist either, but he can't look at the evidence because it would refute his entire worldview. And so what he does is just sits there and poo-poos the whole idea, telling all of his little adoring fans that isn't this a stupid idea? Isn't this a dumb idea? But he's never addressing why people think this way. You got to look at the how of how science comes to its explanations. Kent Hovind cannot do that because he is obtuse and ignorant. Okay, and this also fits into everything else he talks about. So here's another clip where he's going to talk about the age of the Earth.
You believe 13.772 billion years ago and 6 weeks, there was a big bang where a dot of nothing smaller than an atom exploded. And 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth cooled down. It rained on the rocks for millions of years and turned them into soup, and the soup came alive. And that first life form learned how to make all the other life forms and everything. Bananas and whales and mosquitoes and ostriches are all related.
So once again, he's using this mocking, sneering tone to explain a commonplace explanation for the universe and life on Earth. That he's shocked that we could possibly believe that everything on all life on Earth is related. So he's going to reinforce this here. Here's a little teeny short clip. Yeah, he's going to do it again here.
But when they say mosquitoes are related to whales, no, they're not. Okay. Gee, where?
So here, what has he done? He said, mosquitoes are not related to whales. That's obvious. This again is the argument from incredulity. Why do we think whales and mosquitoes are related? It wasn't because we looked at a whale and we looked at a mosquito and said, gee, gosh, they look just the same. No, it's because we looked at the history of life on Earth. We looked backwards in time and asked about where things came from. We did an analysis of the molecular evidence. We looked at DNA sequences. We did all these comparisons. And we discovered commonalities that linked different species together. This wasn't arbitrary. This was the hard work of science that produced this conclusion that all life on Earth was related. And yeah, Kent just can't handle the truth. So he's going to dismiss it all. And this is what's really annoying about creationism, okay? Because all it takes is that you look honestly and in depth at the evidence and you begin to understand why we come to these conclusions. It's not because we're all a bunch of liberal atheists who are trying to undermine religion. No, that's never been the case. It's because the evidence is pointing in this direction and we would be dishonest and fail to do our job as scientists if we didn't accept that. You know, similarly, my opinion on religion was formed by this scientific mindset. That once upon a time when I was a wee little kid, I know, ages ago, I can hardly remember it, there were a couple of things that drove me away from religion, and it was science. So the two things were I was really into the space program. So I was following those Gemini and Apollo launches and getting really enthused about the idea of going out there and looking at the universe around us. And I was also really into dinosaurs, like many kids were. And I studied those things obsessively. I was one of those kids who memorized dinosaur names and relationships and spent a lot of time looking at those books. And you know, those two things were major interests for me. I was also from a casually religious family. We weren't evangelicals or anything, but yeah, we went to church every Sunday. We went to Sunday school, and I just found this deep conflict there that nothing in the Bible covered my two favorite things. I know they try and tell you that Behemoth and Leviathan are examples of dinosaurs in the book of Genesis. They're not, okay? That's kind of pathetic. Here you got a 10-year-old kid who's memorizing hundreds of dinosaur names and looking at bones and getting all enthused about this. And you tell me that these two brief mentions of these two mysterious names are the whole of the dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible. I'm going to laugh you off and say, no, that's not adequate. There's nothing about space in the Bible. Yeah, again, they try and make up things about it. But yeah, the time the Bible was written, the stars were thought of as points in the firmament, in the sky above them, not independent stars. Planets were little stars that moved around. You know, it's like they knew nothing about this stuff. It's not mentioned in the Bible. And, you know, if God had wanted to, he could have said a bunch of things that would have interested me and dazzled me and made me think that maybe there's some truth to this story. But it's not there. So there's some incredulity on my part. I can't believe that the Bible is a book of truth. What was my response to this? It was not to just simply say, oh, this is stupid. This is a dumb idea. Let's throw the Bible out. It was to actually read substantial parts of it and try to see how it fit into my understanding of the universe. I did the thing all scientists try to do, which is take the available data, fit it to the best possible model, and the best possible model that explains Kent Hovind's worldview is dogmatic belief in tradition and superstition. It explains everything. So sorry, guys. That theory got thrown out. And again, when I look at the creationists, I don't see that same honest approach to the evidence. Kent Hovind does not examine the evidence at all. And he's taken that little bunch of kids and laymen that are attending his dinosaur adventureland, and he's inculcating the same bad perspective into them. It's disgraceful. Okay, I just had to get that off my chest. That's how I feel about it, okay? I really cannot stand creationists. Okay, that's enough. Let me cut to the end credits. Well, hello everyone again. I'm just going to remind you that you need to wear your mask in public, wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, do all the right things to preserve the health of our communities. This is important. Do it now. Well, not now if you're in your house watching television, watching the YouTube or whatever you're doing. But yes, when you're out and about, please, for the rest of us. I'm an old man. I could die if I got infected with this disease. Okay, well, let me take this off now. And let me just thank once again these wonderful people over here. These are the people who support me on Patreon and keep a little money flowing and make me all gooey and soft on the inside. Thank you all very much. Let's increase the number of subscribers because I really want to pay off a certain debt incurred by Richard Carrier. We're working on it. We're getting there. I'll include a link to my Patreon down below. I'll also include a link to our GoFundMe page that we're using to try and escape from all this mess. And I will leave you at that. Just look at these wonderful people. Aren't they nice? Okay. So next time I'll try not to talk about something as stupid as Kent Hovind. It's hard to avoid this stuff because he's everywhere. they've got posters for Kent Hovind at my university telling gullible students to go watch these videos. And no, he's a terrible, terrible person. Okay, but these are wonderful people, so just pay attention to them. And we'll talk to you all later. Thanks for tuning in.